way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations, allows for the construction of these policies and practices and systems and structures that continue to oppress us. This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR roof, don't tune in.
What's up, family? We're going to get really quick into this. Today we're going to be talking about the Mississippi Microcosm of Black America and unveiling of the Obama's portrait. We have a special guest in the building, Miss Angela Nirvana. How you doing today, sis?
Oh, blessed and unstoppable. I just can't help but to be tickled every time I hear myself in the end. If you cannot handle the TR Ruth, don't tune in.
Do not tune in.
There it is there.
So if you have a chance, family, go support our sister Angela at the Reparationist Perspective on YouTube. What do you call it? ScrewTube? ScrewTube.
I call it ScrewTube, and I call Facebook Racebook. Okay.
And all the above.
That's what they get for shutting me down so many times.
Yeah, and you also want to support the Reparationist Perspective. You've been doing a lot more Twitter spaces, so getting the information out in real time. You just had a wonderful space on AB 2296 and the state of that legislation. So, yeah, support our sister, the Reparationist Perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah, which, by the way, we are going to be briefly talking about AB 2296 before we get out of here. But let's start getting into the history of Mississippi.
I'm just, I don't even know where to begin. I'm hotter than fish grease. Hi, Darlene Crimady. I see you, fam. Go ahead.
Yeah,
All right.
we've got a little slide here to read through. So Mississippi, M-I, cricket letter, I, cricket letter, I, humpback, I. Yes, ma'am. All right. So is a state in the southeastern region of the United States bordered to the north by Tennessee, to the east by Alabama, to the south by Gulf of Mexico, and to the southwest by Louisiana. Shout out Louisiana. And to the northwest by Arkansas. Mississippi's western boundary is largely defined by the Mississippi River. Mississippi is the second largest and 35th most populous of the 50 U.S. states and has the lowest per capita income in the United States. Jackson is both the state's capital and largest city. Greater Jackson is the state's most populous metropolitan area with a population of 591,000 in 2020. On December 10, 1870, Mississippi became the 20th state admitted into the Union. By 1860, Mississippi was the nation's top cotton producing state, and slaves accounted for 55% of the population. Mississippi declared its secession from the Union on January 9, 1861, and was one of the 7 original Confederate states. They constituted the largest slaveholding states in the nation. Following the Civil War, it was restored to the Union on February 23, 1870. Until the Great Migration of the 1930s, African Americans were a majority of Mississippi's population. In 2010, 37.3% of Mississippi's population was African American, the highest percentage of any state. Mississippi was the site of many prominent events during the civil rights movement, including the Ole Miss Knot of 1962 by white students objecting to desegregation, the 1963 assassination of Medgar Evers, and the 1964 Freedom Summer murders of activists working on voting rights. Mississippi frequently ranks low among U.S. states in measures of health, education, and development, while ranking high in measures of poverty. Top economic industries in Mississippi today are agriculture and forestry. Mississippi produces more than half of the country's farm-raised Mississippi produces more than half of the country's farm-raised catfish and is also a top producer of sweet potatoes, cotton, and pulpwood. Other main industries in Mississippi include advanced manufacturing, utilities, transportation, and health services. Mississippi is almost entirely within the Gulf coastal plain and generally consists of lowland plains and low hills. The northwest remainder of the state consists of the Mississippi Delta, a section of the Mississippi alluvial plain, Mississippi's highest point in Woodhull Mountain at 807 feet above sea level, adjacent to the Cumberland Plateau. The lowest of the Gulf of Mexico. Mississippi has a humid subtropical climate classification.
And just to note, on August 28, 1955, while visiting family in Money, Mississippi, 14-year-old Emmett Till, an African-American from Chicago, is brutally murdered for allegedly flirting with a white woman 4 days later. So definitely wanted to mention that, that tragic incident that happened in Mississippi as well. So I guess let's go through these quick slides. Kim, if you don't mind pulling up the next slide. Just quickly go over these two.
Right, where do we have next in the queue?
All right, so this is how Mississippi voted in the last election. Obviously, Donald Trump, 57. The GOP, Republicans, and Dems at 41%. Next slide.
Okay, next one coming up.
Looks like the Senate results looks like a Republican won at 54 and a as Angela would say, Democrat at 44%. And next one. Go through these real quick. Looks like they had 4 districts in the House, and looks like predominantly Republicans won in this one as well. So Republican in the 1st district, and Democrat 2nd, and 3rd district Republican and 4th District Republican. So it looks like the last election, it was predominantly Republican. In their prospective states. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Jackson population currently at close to 150,000. Black or African American at 82%, white 16%, two or more races 0.7%, and Asian at 0.3%. Next. Jackson is a city located in Hinds County in Rankin County, Mississippi. Jackson has a 2022 population of, as I said before, close to 150,000. The average household income in Jackson is $55,850 with a poverty rate of 24,000. Good grief, that's a high percentage rate. Jesus. The median rental cost in recent years comes to $856 per month, and the median house value is $91,000. The median age in Jackson is 33 years, 31.7 years of males, and 33.9 years for females. Jackson has developed a reputation for its music, earning its nickname, the City with Soul, because of the many musicians that were born there. Population growth in Jackson, Mississippi. During its early years, Jackson experienced significant population growth at the time of the 1980 census. This number has risen to over 200,000. However, a period of decline followed, and each 10,000 census following has posted a population loss. This loss has primarily been attributed to more people moving to suburban areas outside of the city limits. However, it has been predicted that this trend will change in the future and the population will grow once again as more people seek the attractions and amenities offered in the city. All right, next one. All right, so we're probably going to go over these next two slides here and then bring it into some context and maybe have a little conversation. Just kind of give an overall summary of these next two slides. Basically, the mayor had to respond to the governor at that particular time because the governor was trying to explain that, you know, Jackson, Mississippi didn't have any plans or anything to help out with their water crisis or anything like that. So, Kim, I guess I'll go ahead and read this first article, and if you don't mind taking the second one, would appreciate that. As Jackson Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba prepared for his weekly news conference Tuesday, comments Governor Tate Reeves made the day before loomed heavily. Reeves said Monday the city had presented no plan to the state on what funds are needed to fix its water system, which has become the subject of international news in recent weeks as more than 150,000 residents were left without running or drinkable water. We do recognize the need for both an intermediate and long-term plan. I personally believe that we cannot rely on the city of Jackson to provide that, Reeves said Monday. Lumumba, careful not to jeopardize the, quote, unity, unquote, he has sought between city and state government during the crisis, took the lectern Tuesday afternoon and proceeded to defend his record. The mayor's director of communications, Melissa Faith Payne, stood by his side and produced documents, presentations, and letters that the city has presented to state government officials, including Reeves. The mayor held them up one by one, explaining each to the media. First, there was the commission's strategic capital improvement plan, which detailed an exhaustive list of the city's infrastructure needs at the water treatment facility, wastewater treatment facility, and the like, Lumumba said. Then the mayor held up the critical equipment repair plan, and the Environmental Protection Agency. Oh, I'm sorry. It was a consent decree with the Environmental Protection Agency. Next was a PowerPoint presentation given to the Hinds County delegation in the state legislature, which went along with meetings that occurred between October and December of 2021 as the city sought state funding for some of its biggest infrastructure priorities. It detailed numerous critical repairs and the associated costs. These costs included $20 million worth of repairs at the O.B. Curtis water treatment plant and nearly $16 million worth at the smaller J.H. fuel plant. Oh, you want me to take this one? You're on mute. I could take it if you want.
I was trying to read it. I was just saying I didn't see what the first word was before membrane.
Oh, okay.
Insane.
Insane in the membrane.
That's what this sounds like.
Word.
Membrane resurfacing HVAC systems, repairing leaks at the conventional filters. It talks about pumps. It talks about many of the things that you have become familiar with over the last few days that we have acknowledged and have shared that needed to be done. And it also has projected costs next to it, Labumba said. That presentation also included estimated costs for replacing pipes throughout the city, which were separated by precinct, but totaled more than 34 million. Following the presentation, the mayor held up a letter that he sent to the governor in March 2021. Although it is incorrectly dated as March 3rd, 2020, the letter was sent following the hard freeze, which left many of Jackson without running water. It asked Reeves to help the city secure the funding it needs to make nearly 47 million worth of high priority repairs. Each of those repairs are itemized on the last of the 3 pages. Quote, I am requesting emergency funding from the state and federal government to make the capital improvements necessary for the efficient operation of Jackson's water treatment plants and distribution network, end quote, Labumba wrote, and more than a year-old letter. Quote, these improvements are critical to our efforts to ensure that our residents and businesses are not deprived of clean water again. I have attached a list of needed improvements for our plants and distribution lines with an estimated cost of approximately $47 million. Your assistance in obtaining the funding to complete these projects will be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your consideration, end quote. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, Speaker of the House Philip Gunn, U.S. Rep. Benny Thompson, and Senators Roger Wicker and Cindy Hyde-Smith were all copied on the letter. Labumba said he never got a response. Lastly, Labumba held up a draft report that is still being worked on by a team of water engineers, which will detail a new analysis of the city's biggest immediate infrastructure needs. Quote, I wanted to present that there's been a lot of discussion about what we have and have not communicated. But like I said, I think that we should leave all this discussion with the resolve to work together. It is resolved, and the people of Jackson are worthy of our collaboration. The people of Jackson don't care about our differences, and it is important that we demonstrate love and do something that, quite honestly, so many administrations have failed to do over time. Whether you're talking about the city or the state, and that is to fix the problem that has been plaguing our residents for decades, end quote, Labumba said. Quote, I believe we can do it, and I stand ready to work with anybody willing to work with me, end quote. Labumba said he has not spoken with Reeves since the two were part of a group that toured the Curtis plant Friday.
All right, Kim. Do you mind going to the next slide, and then I'll play the video of Jackson.
All right.
All right, so it looks like currently, as of September 10th, the running water returns in Mississippi, but it's still undrinkable. And we'll just take a screenshot of this. We probably won't go through the full article due to time, but I'll read like the first 3 paragraphs on this. And if you want to see the full article, just go to The Guardian, and you should be able to look that up. Residents in Jackson, the majority Black capital city of Mississippi, now have water coming out of their taps once again, but are still having to boil it before drinking, as they have had to intermittently for years. It is a step forward from the situation last week when floods overwhelmed the city's dilapidated main water treatment plant and essentially interrupted water supply across the entire city, affecting more than 160,000 residents. Even though emergency efforts have restored running water, questions linger over whether a more lasting solution will materialize. Some of the city's pipes are roughly a century old, and Jackson is also the target of ongoing lawsuits from residents who say its old lead pipes poisoned them and stunted their growth as children. So let's go ahead and quickly run this video, and then we'll come back to get some comments.
O.B. Curtis remained at a steady pressure over the past 24 hours and is currently operating at 86 psi, that's pounds per square inch. The margin of storage that was built over the last weekend has decreased some over the past 24 hours. We are currently producing stable pressure, but if a challenge arises with the plant operations today, it will likely impact customers. If that we work on a common or on one sheet of music, then the likelihood that we can overcome these challenges is probably greater than it's ever been before. But the challenges still exist nonetheless, and so we need to communicate that. Typically, we understand that it is imperative that we put our political differences aside to contend with the challenge that we all face. And when we look at the lack of water in the city of Jackson, when we look at the humiliation that our residents have suffered from, I think that this is an important time to focus on that unity and not that division. That is why I have consistently avoided opportunities to take shots. That is why I have consistently spoken of that is not the priority of today. And that is what I want to communicate and reiterate again. I think that when residents are suffering at the hands of the challenges that we've seen, and they see us at a press conference together, and in that press conference we say that we're going to work together. We say that this is a unified effort, right? And not more than a week later, we're taking shots, then what that fundamentally does to the residents of Jackson is that it leaves them less resolved or less confident that we're actually going to be able to fix these problems. And so that is why it is important that I remain, that our administration remains, that the city, that the state, that everyone who is putting their hands into the dirt to fix this problem remain focused on the problem itself and not our differences. People of Jackson don't care about our differences, and it is important that we demonstrate love and do something that, quite honestly, so many administrations have failed to do over the time, whether you're talking about the city or the state, and that is to fix a problem that has been plaguing our residents for decades. I believe we can do it, and I stand ready to work with anybody willing to work with me.
All right, fam. So that was from the mayor, Lumumba. Shout out to that brother. So yeah, family, what y'all think about that? Wanna give us your thoughts?
Well, the reparationist perspective calls BS. I'm gonna try not to cuss on a Sunday. I'm gonna do my best.
I'm sure the Lord would appreciate that.
I'm going to do my best. The God in me will appreciate me cleaning up my potty mouth on a Sunday. There's just so much to say about this. First of all, let's go to what you recently played with this Chakwe Lumumba. Now, from what you read, they've been complaining about this water system and requiring a budget of like, what, 47 million, 34 million? I don't know. I lost count.
47 million, that was the number. Yeah, I remember reading. So yeah.
Over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got Hispanics who are I've shared on my broadcast who went to some meeting with Nancy Pelosi to demand that all 11 million of these illegals who have broken the law get citizenship right now today. But here we've got a Chakwe Lumumba. Now, that's very much an African name. Did he change his name, or is he Black immigrant? Because here we go, yet again, asking folks who have been dealing with lead water to the point where it stunted their growth. This is not a new issue. This water been bad. for years, okay? And so to me, you sound like the perfect Democrat. You want folks not to be up in arms and not to cuss folks out and not throw shoes at the folks that's running stuff. This is what the problem is when you continue to vote blue no matter who. You put people in a position to continue to tell you to wait while immigrants take it over and they're demanding their rights right now. They're not waiting. I've shared on my broadcast about Luis Pasteur at the Freedman Bank Forum, who received $100 million to the Harbor Bank of Maryland's $70 million, right? Telling y'all he got 126 ethnicities and that $100 million put him within a stone's throw of $1 billion bank with $1 billion in assets, thanks to the Freedman Bank Forum. They weren't over here during the Freedman Bank Forum, and yet Kagame and Janet Yellen chose to weaponize our never-ending Holocaust to give the immigrants, who he said got 126 ethnicities down there at his Hispanic-owned and operated bank, credit union, that he is intending to give home loans to, and their plan. He said it right out of his mouth. I'm not making it up. You can look it up on ScrewTube, where at the Freedman Bank Forum, he said they about to take it over and that they're tired of waiting. But we got 150,000 Jackson American freedmen, descendants of U.S. chattel slavery predominantly, in Mississippi, who have been dealing with so much lead in the water being shut off. You talking about boiling the water, and the water looks like coffee. What is boiling going to do to take the poisons out of that water? Does it now become drinkable because they heated it up? Give me a break. And so I am just over how every Black community is having a water crisis. And what I'm trying to share with you, ETM, and your illustrious viewers, is that these are the ethno-genocidal plans to extinct us to as few in number as the Indians. And they not playing with it. They coming through the water. Joe Crow just earmarked another $37 billion to the race soldiers, to the militarized race soldiers to come up into our communities and to execute us by state sanction. That would be unarmed Black men, women, and children, while the Repugnant Klan governors are shipping busloads of immigrants where? Into our communities to gentrify us out. And so Jackson is no different. These are the environmental racist side to the ethno-genocidal plans to get rid of us. You are looking right now in real time at the very thing that Dr. Claude Anderson has been sounding the alarm about for over 40 years. That's what you're looking at. These plans are being finalized with our vote. These plans are being finalized with our vote. So Jackson they're just, I don't even know. This is demonic what they're allowing to happen to our people specifically. But what do you expect of a city, of a state rather, because I don't know if the slavery is still going on there. But you guys had an illustrious guest on your broadcast that wrote the Cotton Picking Truth, where they talk about slavery still going on in Mississippi. That documentary was done, I want to say, in the 70s, okay? And so what do you expect of a state that still holds slaves, that Congress knows full well still has slavery? So this is what's going to be happening to our poor. I was looking up some data, and It seems like the blacks' median income, well, maybe let's look at this real quick because as you were reading, I was researching. Um, okay, median income in Jackson. Oh, did you do that one already? I think you dealt with it. Is Jackson?
Yeah, let me
Yeah, let's
see.
see if we go to the slide. I think
Oh
we
no, that's the
might
Okay.
have.
population slide.
Okay, let's talk about this. Jackson is 24% of the impoverished. Census Tract 11 is a low income community opportunity zone. Another word you got to look out for.
Yep.
Opportunity zone just simply means giving money to white folks and immigrants to come up in that piece and to take it over.
Accelerated gentrification. So this water situation in Jackson, do you think that that's another gentrification ploy? By the time they're ready to move all the immigrants in, all the infrastructure will be, up to code?
Oh, honey, yes. This is designed to drive us into extinction. This is genocide that's being waged on us as we speak in real time. And the challenge is we don't have the corporate dollars to sound the alarm. You know, it's like we're speaking into an echo chamber, but we do what we must to get the word out to the people that all of this is predicated. Both parties suck. They just really, really do. I mean, you just heard where the Repugnant clans are running this, and they're literally trying to kill them down there in Jackson, Mississippi. And Joe Crow is trying to kill him. And let me tell you how Joe Crow, listen, this is a crisis of exponential proportion. This is like Katrina for black folks. Okay. This and so the feds and FEMA, where the hell are they to go down here and fix this? Where the hell are they in Baltimore where there's lead in the water now? Where are they when it came to Flint? The water's still bad in Flint. Still bad. These are ethno-genocidal plans by both sides of government. Joe Crow has sent trillions. I think he just sent another 3.2 billion to the Ukrainian neo-Nazis to fight the U.S. war with Russia. And all they need is 47 million to fix it. So I'm saying that everybody is complicit in this plan to extinct us.
Yeah,
and
well, what
ahead.
about Mayor LaBamba's efforts to communicate with state and federal? Is it just not enough? I mean, did he not follow up? It sounds like he, was trying to let them know, or was it just too little, too late?
Well, for me, and y'all know I got a problem with us playing respectability politics.
Mm-hmm.
You already know where I stand on that BS. That is who Lumumba is. How in the world are you going to be appealing to them with a budget of 47 million from a year ago from what he says, when the problem has persisted for years? The lawsuits against Jackson, because they said there's lead in the water. Now, I don't know when he took office, but he said it's been a year. And what is he doing? Sitting up here telling people, don't get irate, don't get upset, we're working on it.
Forgive.
Yeah, let's forgive them and all this kind of respectability politics, which has us tethered to the bottom of this Titanic as the anchor of this country's capitalism. And that is what I begrudge when it comes to people talking about turn down. My question is, turn down for what? We are losing. We ain't got nowhere to go but up. It's time for us to turn the puck up. As far as I'm concerned, we sitting up here just being respectability politics as we sit on the line of the guillotine waiting for the bullet to strike us next. That's what I hear when folks like this tell me that we submitted a budget and a proposal a year ago and ain't nothing been done. The problem has only gotten worse. And didn't he say, didn't you read, these pipes are a century old?
Yeah.
Come on. So you're talking about folks that have run this country that knows that this is negatively impacting the people of Jackson. And then they got the unmitigated gall when folks are trying to get where the clean water is. The police got the nerve to be stopping them to check for warrants.
I saw that.
So I'm here to tell you, I don't trust these people. I'm saying that it's imperative that we turn up and we turn out. We can't sit idly by and allow this to continue to happen. No sooner than that start to happen, then you hear about E. coli in Baltimore's water. That's where my people live. So I'm telling you, you never hear about unarmed white men, women, and children being executed by the race soldiers. You never hear of environmental racism through the water system, which is another way they're killing us, in white communities, in immigrant white communities, in Crayola white communities. You never hear this. And so this is what happens when you allow yourself to be neutralized economically, playing respectability politics, electing people who look like you but don't have your best interest in mind. They're not going to speak up for your issues the way an AOC does for her people, or the way Rashida Tlaib speaks up for her people. She running Detroit now, okay, along with some other Indian immigrant. And so what I'm trying to tell our people is that every time you vote blue, no matter damn who, you're voting for people, immigrants who seek to replace you, and Crayola white supremacists that hate you all the way down to their baby toe. And we should have been doing this 40 years ago because Dr. Claude Anderson was telling us today was coming 40 years ago.
Well, it is here. And, blue no matter who is one thing, but we really need to be focusing on voting for platforms, like you say, that will support our best interests, because as we can see from these graphs in Mississippi, they are largely voting red and are still in this dire situation, water situation.
No, that's very true. But what I'm telling you is we are so at a time that we're caught between a rock and a hard place. You see, my Freedmen Protest voter strategy is not a party thing. It's a Freedmen flourishing thing. And folks keep wanting to try to sell me on no tangibles, no vote. I'm here to tell you, those are the type of people who are politically lazy and won't weaponize the Republicans against the Democrats so that the Democrats will deliver on the reparations they owe us. It makes no sense that our vote delivered in the White House. Joe Crow said he would have our backs, and yet he's given trillions of dollars to everyone but American freedmen descendant of U.S. chattel slavery. So when I speak of that, it ain't like the Republicans don't suck. It's to get you to understand you ain't got nothing coming. If you continue to just give your vote away to the Democrats and you ain't got nothing coming, holding out the vote because you wait no tangibles. We 86% of our electorate delivered Joe Crow. He said he'd have our backs. He is halfway through his whole entire term. He ain't had our backs not once. He ain't even said nothing about Jackson. He said nothing. So diabolical as the Republicans are, my thing is we have a trifecta that can be doing something about it right now. And that's not happening. And this is what our people, by and large, voted. We were told by some leaderless leaders to go out here and vote blue down the ticket. How is that working for us? It's not. So what I'm saying is this is the weaponization of our vote, because I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever the Democrats have a trifecta, number one, they don't do anything for American freedmen. And number two, we're the only ones in distress. So this ain't about liking Republicans. I'm an independent. What I'm telling our people to do is to defect from the Democratic Party and bring them to their knees for several election cycles by voting only closed border and reparations candidates, party be damned, to neutralize our most imminent threat. Because you ain't got no tangibles coming until you bring them to their knees. As long as we keep rewarding them with our votes for doing absolutely nothing for American freedmen, that is what they consider you continue doing. To continue to vote for them for absolutely nothing. Your vote has emboldened them enough to tell you from the campaign trail that they're not doing a hot damn thing specifically for American freedmen who have been made fifth-class citizens in the country our ancestors built with their lives, while the white folks and immigrants eat from that wealth that was created with their lives.
I mean, you're right. We do need to keep pushing these strategies. I'll definitely be looking for upcoming shows from the reparationist perspective. If you're going to be doing any candidate endorsements or political shows leading up to the 2022 election or the November election.
Well, I've not even vetted them because I really don't care what they're about. Like, I only care that they want to close the borders. I know that here in the state of California, we're not likely to win on my voter strategy, but I'm trying to impress it upon states that can win with that strategy. I don't anticipate getting a hot damn thing from the Republicans. Okay? I do not. My whole goal is to bring the Democrats to their knees. Furthermore, corporate really owns this thing, so we're going to have to get to a point where we find whites that are just as hurt by immigration. We can't get this done by ourselves because we've got too many races and groups and different things in the country that want our extinction. So we're going to have to align on the issue of those who seek to close the borders. That's really what it has to boil down to. So for me, like I said, it's about not stopping these rewards of the Democratic Party, because if we continue in this vein, we got nothing coming. They will continue to flood the country with these immigrants to the place where it'll be rare, like it's becoming now here in Southern California, to see your people in positions of work and to see your people amongst your community. I've mentioned how I was in a Carson grocery store, Carson next to Compton. Both used to be predominantly Black, are now predominantly Hispanic. And you don't see us working in these stores anymore. And that's just been in the 20 years I've lived here in California. So
no, you're absolutely correct, and it's spreading. And we have a question here. Since you're out in LA, Sawyer is contested. Is there a write-in plan just to get the message out to say, hey, we might be between a rock and a hard place, no options here, but this guy got to go?
Well, you guys would know more about that than me. Given
well,
that
you're in the LA area there. I mean, I don't have a dog in the fight, unfortunately. There's nothing
right.
I can...
Well, I would expect organizations like CJEC to get involved. And, they've got folks down here that are parties to CJEC that need to stop that. Okay? That's on them to stop it. They're the face of the contemporary grassroots reparations movement. I expect them to get to moving to find someone to unseat Joan Sawyer. I've not heard anything, but that's who I expect to get it done.
Well, before we actually continue, we got about 8 minutes, and we wanted to get into the unveiling of Obama's portrait. But Angela, if you like to actually come back and bless this channel and platform again, we can actually get into that topic and actually have a part two. Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
All right, because yeah, we were about to go in on the unveiling of the Obama's portrait, but once again, we only have a couple more minutes in this.
Okay, let's go for it.
All right. Well, actually, let's table that. Let's table that for now because we have like a couple of articles that we wanted to read through, and we definitely can't get through that.
Oh my God, I spent your entire show on Mississippi.
No, it's all good. That's why we want to have a part two, right?
Yeah, Mississippi definitely is an important topic that needs awareness raised. I mean, they know what's going on, so I don't know.
Yeah,
they
know,
not like they don't know what's going on.
But you have to look at the benign, not the benign, it's intentional.
Yeah.
You have to look at the intentional neglect of the feds who have not stepped in to call this a pandemic, okay? Because that's what it is. They've not called this a crisis. What do they call it when there's hurricanes? This is a disaster. And they've not said a word. So why are we continuing to vote for them? Look at the way they're not speaking on it. I don't hear the congressional black caucuses speaking on it. I don't hear Joe Crow, Kabami. Joe ain't even touching it with a 10-foot pole. But you can absolutely hear about him giving more money to Ukraine to fight a war that they've already lost. You can hear about how the country, how they're down there at the borders, just opening up the gates to allow the illegals to cross right on in. You can see him giving money. You can see these democratically run cities and states becoming sanctuary for immigrants in the whole 9 yards. And so I'm saying we got a trifecta. I'm saying we are officially at war with our own government. I'm saying, yes, hold your nose and voting for Republicans who believe in closing the borders. It's not going to be a perfect politician. They suck too. But at least we can stem the tide of our ethno-genocide. We can at least, breathe through the straw while they're putting us underwater with our ancestors who were thrown over and who chose to leap. Because that's what we're hanging on by the thread of our chinny chin chin. We are like with that straw, barely having any oxygen in the Atlantic. That's what our government is doing to us right now by way of our own vote. So please, before folks get amnesia, once Trump takes it back in 24, don't get amnesia and act like all of the puckery concerning American freedmen just got here because the Republicans are in charge. That's what our constituents tend to do. They get amnesia about the puckery of the Democrats as leveled at the heads of American freedmen, and all of a sudden, it was Trump's fault. Just like you've got these left-leaning and moderate Democrats sitting up here blaming the current immigrant crisis on Trump. He ain't been in office in 2 years. How's it his fault that the Joe Crow Border Patrol is opening up the borders, opening up the gates? Fox captured it on camera. They're opening the gates to let them right on into the country. So let's not get amnesia, family, when it comes time to the midterms. Let's not get amnesia when it comes to 24. And yes, I'm happy to come back and talk about anything y'all want to discuss. Sundays are pretty good for me because I go live during the week on my broadcast, which you guys are all too welcome to help me co-host over there too. Y'all welcome to my platform anytime you feel like it.
Facts. Appreciate that. But before we get out of here, there is a Black-owned water distribution company called MSM Distribution. It's on, I put it in the chat. So definitely, if you want to support and donate, you can go to them. Also put the link, the Twitter link somewhere. You have to scroll through up in the chat there as well. But if you all want to definitely donate, go ahead and donate to them. You know, there's a lot of tricksters and scams out there, so definitely be careful in sending your money. But that's a Black-owned distribution, water distribution company out in Mississippi.
Thank you for that. I will definitely be reaching out to them to donate. See First Peace says, according to the polling data for the 2020 election for Jim Crow Joe, Black women, Jim Crow Joe, Black women voted 96% in favor of Biden, and Black voted 93% for Biden. Maybe it's Black men voted 93% for Biden. As Black people, we don't understand politics. You are absolutely right. Until we grow the backbone and the cojones of our ancestors, who, without the help of social media, knew how to move as a block to pivot from the Repugnant clans to the Democrats for civil rights, we got nothing coming. And we can look forward to a future where there's very few American freedmen walking around in the U.S. They will have officially whitewashed our history when they get rid of us by way of all these tactics. Thank you for having me on today as a guest.
Thank you, Angela. And before we go, if you have a chance, if you have some grievance with AB 2296, we actually put it on our platform, sent out a PSA, call in to the governor to let him know not to extend the bill, because at this point in time,
yeah, the word is veto. We want this vetoed. It's at his desk now. We want it vetoed, and there's a call to action here to call his office. So first thing Monday morning, get started. I mean, you could even get started today and leave messages, but when I called, it gave you an option to hold or to click a button if you wanted to leave a message. And I held for half an hour or more because I wanted to speak to a live representative to tell them to have the governor veto this action.
Wow, thank you for that, because we definitely have to do that. That particular slide you just showed of that call to action needs to be updated with Newsom's email account and his Twitter, just so y'all know. I think that that's important for us to hit them up from all angles.
Facts. Good.
Yes,
good
yes,
idea.
that's a good idea. Excellent idea. And for everybody out there in the Twitter sphere, I would say follow him. And then, you know, when you're ready to tag him, it'll just come up when you start typing the information. So follow him to let him know you're watching, Governor Gavin Newsom, and let him know that we want this bill vetoed right away.
Definitely. Well, Angela, thank you. We're going to have to give you
I need that for my own damn self when I'm over here setting it up on my broadcast. I love that. Thank you for the straight fire. Thank you guys for the work you do. Oh my God, family, continue to allow and spread the word about the ETM Media Group. Help them to go viral. Help them to get to 1 million subs. We are just a couple of the outlets that are staying on reparations. We are keeping our reparations boots on the jugulars of the Democrats and the Repugnant clans alike. And the only way we do that is with your support. So you must, it's free to thumbs up the video and to share it and to help it go viral.
Most definitely. Thank you. All right, Kim, if there's anything else you want to say, I'll probably take us out with the video. You're on mute.
I wanted to say I was just trying to grab Governor Gavin Newsom's Twitter handle. Someone in the audience asked for it. Let's see if I can get it up real quick.
Okay. Well, Angela, I know it's 11, so if you gotta go, fam, we can
right here.
Kim's gonna pull that up.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm gonna wait because I like your intro and your outro.
It's a little fire. Speaking of that, to give the family an update on the Reparations Now documentary. So we have the final edit, but there's some things we have to go through and just review. So that's coming along quite nicely. And actually, one of the people that we spoke to, we actually went up to Weed, California. For those who aren't familiar with Weed, it's up in Northern California. At one point, it had a pretty thriving black population up there, but since then, kind of like with Jackson, it's gone through its issues. And one of the issues is they recently actually had a fire. California is notorious for having its fire. They had a fire that predominantly affected the black population out in, or predominantly black population in a section in Weed. Currently, from the people that from our resources or the sources that we have, currently there's like 63 homes that have been decimated from the fire, and maybe more since then has impacted that area. So please, put Weed in your prayers. And, a lot of people, I mean, we're going to actually show this information in the documentary too. A lot of people just don't know about the complicity of slavery and oppression that has happened here in America since, our ancestors came and migrated, here during the gold rush era up into present. So hopefully we'll be able to convey that information eloquently.
Yeah, you said America, but I think you're talking about California's complicity, which
well, thank you for that
I mean,
clarification. Specifically
it's all
California, but yeah.
Yeah, it's all bad, but yeah, California. Because everybody says, oh, California wasn't even a slave state. But if you read through the findings in the Reparations Task Force 500-page report, you will see differently. And I will say, lastly, one last update, since we're talking about the California Reparations Task Force, is they have announced their next in-person meeting, which will be in Los Angeles on September 23rd and the 24th. It'll also be streaming at the DOJ websites and right here at ETM Media. So be sure to tune in for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys think that Reginald Jones Sawyer is going to turn out, given how hot we are?
Angela, you and Kim ask great questions. I must say, you ask great questions. Hopefully he shows up. I would like him to show up. He should show up. We would appreciate his presence.
We'll see. I mean, it's 50-50 on the fence, but I mean, it's in LA. It's his district. He has no excuse. So we're definitely expecting him to be there.
Well, he didn't show up we went and attended the first in person in San Francisco, and he wasn't there.
Yeah, he claimed he was in Iceland. So hopefully, since he knew that the next meeting was coming up, he didn't double book his schedule this time. A lot of people who want to speak with him, who want to holler at him.
Oh yes, myself included.
Give him a little of your reparationist perspective.
Oh yes. As if he hasn't had enough, because I've called his ass out on several task force hearings. I done personally singled his ass out. Funny. Now that I'm unbothered and untethered from different orgs that want to quiet me, I can say what the fuck I want from my chest. You understand? That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to. Giving them all that smoke. All the respect is going out of the window. So there you have it.
There you go. All right, family, on that note, thanks for joining. We are going to come back with Angela to do a part 2 and take a deeper dive into the unveiling of the Obama portrait and going to see what's going on, family, what's going on. So at that, juncture, we appreciate you. Be safe, love, peace, and reparations. And until
Peace,
next time,
reparations.
most definitely. Y'all take care. Peace.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations, allows for the construction of these policies and practices and systems and structures that continue to oppress us. This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR roof, don't tune in.